Hey, I'm waiting for people to come on. I've been waiting for this. So I'm just giving some time for people to come on to join in and watch and listen. This is Golden Dark Dame, your Golden Dark Dame. It's been a while. So come on, make sure that you subscribe to this channel while you're waiting for my reviews and opinions to begin on what is the latest. Yeah, just allowing a few moments for people to come on. This is live. I'm going live. It's been a while. It's been quite a while, quite some time. Quite some time. And this is episode 22. So, interestingly enough, I was going to load episode 21 last week and encountered some difficulties in doing so. So, this episode 22 is preceding episode 21, which is not yet posted. And yes, so what's going on? What's been happening with you? Because so much is happening, out here in this big world, in these United States, and in popular culture, of course. So, what's been happening? What's going on? I'm ready for you to come on, join me, and, you know, open to sharing opinions here about everything that's been in the news as it pertains to popular culture and series, network series, programming, entertainment news, and the like. So, as we all know, as usual, there's tips with people announcing getting divorced and separating, splitting up, things of that nature, as well as issues among folks in the entertainment industry and the music industry, and agreements and arrangements getting changed and getting reversed, due to things being said that could have gone unspoken. I won't say should have, but that definitely could have gone unspoken. And so, yeah, things are being changed up due to that. So, again, this is your Golden Dark Day, and please subscribe to this channel. Make sure that at some point you like this video, like this episode 22, and make sure you come in the comments, come in the chat section, and share your opinion on everything as well. I definitely want to get your opinion on things aside from me sharing my own. This is your Golden Dark Dame. What's going on? So, what I have been, paying attention to, what has been catching my eye and to a degree captivating my ears is, definitely pop culture, popular culture news, entertainment news. So let's see. Let me try to put this in chronological order as much as possible. So I want to say, um, and just in my mind, going back from uh, episode 21, which will be posthumously posted here on YouTube. But in the meantime, trying to go off from there and back up to what I had previously been already recorded talking about uncovering. So that was going to be, hold on. So all of those things that I have actually already covered were pertinent as far as entertainment news is pertinent to music and upcoming verses that's tentatively projected to occur and sitcoms. So yeah, I hadn't actually even touched on any of the. Um, well, no, I did touch on some of the announced divorces, but so the most recent since that episode that's been announced is between Real Housewives of Atlanta star Cynthia Bailey and Mike Hill. And also, let me put out this disclaimer. You won't see it until after I post this episode, but disclaimer, everything I come on here to say is for entertainment purposes. These are my opinions, unsolicited, unendorsed opinions that I'm sharing. And so, unless I am, showing you hardcore receipts, um, treat what you hear as such. Treat it as entertainment and, opinion only. Opinions being shared, aside from mine on here. Again, unless you see receipts being tossed up. So back to these entertainment divorces, people we see on TV, on a network series and whatnot that we have seen on TV because we know Cynthia Bailey Cynthia Bailey has not been on this most recent season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and that is largely in part based on the fact that upon she and Mike Hill getting married on the prior season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, um, she was motivated to, you know, get off the show because this was her second marriage. And so she had already experienced, I guess, the downfalls or the pitfalls, so to speak, of your relationship, your marriage being highlighted on TV. And so, be that as it may, again, she, made a conscious decision to not continue participating on the most recent season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. So we didn't see her, within these past few months that the most recent season of our HOA has been on. And so now, though, she and Mike Hill had been married. They had just reached their 2-year anniversary of having been married just a couple months back. And so at this point, within the past week and a half or so, um, it's been announced that they are getting a divorce. So I want others' opinions on this matter. So in the comments section, please chime in and let it be known what your thoughts are about it. Did you think or did you see it coming sooner rather than later? That a possibility that Cynthia and Mike may have been approaching a divorce. Again, did you think that may was probably going to occur sooner rather than later? Just based on the nature of how they got together and what was highlighted on our HOA from the last season that she was on. What do you think? Share your opinion in the chat. Leave your comments. I would love to see them. So yeah, I don't know. My opinion about it, I feel like it's not that strong, but just only in the way that I don't know. I think it was clear on the show that Cynthia was eager for their relationship to go to another level. But sorry, but you talk about as far as taking it to the marriage level. In my opinion, I don't think that things were strongly at that point for them, based on what was shown during the series. And again, my opinion, my 2 cents about it. But obviously they went forward with doing that, taking their relationship to that next level, and making it a marriage. I'm not sure if they had actually courted long enough, because again, to me, it didn't seem that strong and that secure enough of a relationship for it to have progressed into marriage at the point in time that it did. And so, again, now just beyond their 2 year marriage mark, it's now announced that they are going to be, going separate ways from each other. So, uh, I guess we'll see how that unfolds. And so, now speaking of that, bringing that into BravoCon, which just occurred just less than a week ago. And so, that was an event that was inclusive of all the network series that air on the Bravo network. So not only was that Real Housewives franchises, that was also, other show franchises as well, including Below Deck and, some other ones that I personally do not tune into, have not tuned into lately, and some that I have not, watched at all. Everybody doesn't watch everything, but, so Cynthia herself, had a few comments around her relationship during BravoCon, as well as a commentary made following that whole event from uh, members of other Real Housewives franchises, specifically of Potomac. So apparently, and this is just recent, within the last 48 hours or so, recent information that apparently, there was some withhold of one of the former Real Housewives of Potomac attempting to include herself on the BravoCon red carpet, and being withheld from doing so. And so that was coming from that was a statement that apparently occurred, that was said by Giselle Bryant about Monique Samuels. And so ultimately, Monique Samuels disputed that, said that was not the case. Um, and based on what I saw, um, she didn't really clarify, what actually did happen, other than just saying that she was not denied access to the red carpet, as far as going onto that along with current Real Housewife of Potomac cast members. So because she's also someone else who was no longer part of the Real Housewives franchise that she previously had been featured being aired on. So her most recent reality TV inclusion is by way of the show Love and Marriage DC. And so again, she didn't really clarify, I guess if there was any type of misunderstanding as far as Giselle's impression that she was disallowed on the red carpet along with our HOP members, but she simply said that no, that wasn't the case. And in addition to that, I guess, had some petty commentary to go along with it in response to Giselle's um, claim that Monique was not disallowed onto the red carpet along with Giselle and Ashley and again other members on Housewives of Potomac during BravoCon and upon entry on the red carpet. So, that seems like a kind of minuscule thing. I don't see why anybody would need to fabricate. I don't see why Giselle or anyone else would need to fabricate such a thing. Um, and again, because Monique didn't even give an explanation as to, what the situation fully entailed, other than saying that that wasn't the case. I don't know. It's giving. I don't think I believe you, Monique. because I could see the former being the case versus the latter being the case, right? So yeah. Now melts her into the divorcee news because it's also been reported by way of People magazine that Monique Samuels and her husband Chris Samuels are apparently definitely. I mean, this is indicative of them definitely being on the down slope. But again, People magazine has reported that the two of them are heading for divorce. And so the refute to that news coming from Monique Samuels is, in so many words, no, that's not happening. We're still married. Okay, so peep this though, everyone. For that to be the verbiage, that really doesn't deny that news coming from People magazine. Because to say, oh, we're still married, that doesn't speak to the accuracy or the truthfulness of a headline saying that you and your spouse are heading in the direction of getting a divorce. Okay, divorce is a process. In most scenarios, it can be a prolonged process. But any angle that you look at it from, it's not something that can be done overnight. Okay, so for her to have said that again, we're still married, that don't mean ish, right? I mean, do y'all agree? Just like before, let me know your opinions on that news about the two of them. You know, do you believe that they are getting the divorce or not? I mean, and if not, how and why would such news be reported? Why would such a headline come out? Because People Magazine, I mean, from my awareness, it's a reputable source. I haven't heard of too many occasions where, you know, something that was, on the cover of a cover story of theirs or, on a magazine was like totally false. And at this point, I don't think there's any claim of it being false news. It's just, kind of around the corner talk of, oh no, don't believe that. Well, why shouldn't people believe it? Just because you get on, create a social media reel showing your husband sitting in the background of your view, and then you stick your ring finger in front of the camera lens, making a twisted face. That doesn't explain anything. But beyond that, who else do we have on the info circuit about getting a divorce? Oh, yes. Also, I cannot think of her last name, but the former supermodel Giselle and NFL star Tom Brady. So they are on that list of upcoming divorcing celebrities and entertainers as well. And so, the news behind that for them is pretty clear cut, definitely comprehensible, which is that word is that Tom Brady, and Giselle had, they had an agreement as far as the conditions, I guess, under which, I don't know, just at some point throughout, the course of them being together. But it had to, I mean, safe to say, it had to definitely have been at the point that, he decided he was going to, fall back from playing on the field, right? Because we know that, Tom Brady is a, what, Heisman Trophy winner, if I understand it correctly. So either way, apparently there was an agreement that, he was going to uh, I guess, retire and remain retired. I think that basically that's what it was. And so, but now here recently, I guess within the past year or so, he had been in talks considering, coming back, getting back on the field and playing again, literally getting back in the game. And so, um, his wife, Giselle, wasn't feeling that and bringing up, okay, wait a minute. We said this, we agreed we were going to do this, navigate things this way, what have you. And so Tom Brady's changing his mind. And at this point, it had been announced that, yeah, he's going to be coming back to the game of football. So obviously, that didn't sit well with Giselle. And so now the latest word about their status is that they are also um, preparing, for divorce proceedings, whatever separation proceedings, what have you, between the two of them. So yeah, and it's kind of interesting that the commentary that I've seen around it, by folks on social media actually attempting to argue the stance that Tom Brady, the position rather that Tom Brady has taken as far as reapproaching, going back onto the field of football and, trying to compare it to or trying to minimize his wife's, I guess, dismay about that. Because look, that's for any person, between any individual and their significant other or their spouse. If we agree on something and then you want to just completely, switch up from the arrangement, that's going to be a problem naturally, like without a doubt. Because for one, you need to be able to explain uh, the justification, behind wanting to do that. Because we're talking about retirement from your whole career, from a whole career that had already posed over the years physical risk of harm to you. Okay? Physical, psychological, damaging risk. Okay? And I'm sure, yeah, he had to have endured and experienced degrees of risk over time, because the game of football, listen, professional football is not the same as flag football or, intramural. We're talking about you getting tackled, you literally getting hit by, pounds, physical pounds of other human beings coming at you, hitting you, running into you, colliding with you. And, this is a dangerous game. It's not anything lightweight whatsoever. So after a certain point in time in a life, again, to have made such an agreement and then you want to do a 180, it's very plain to see why Giselle would have an issue with that and why it will compel her to want to wipe her hands of the relationship. Because, if I'm Giselle and Tom Brady is my husband, NFL, former NFL, and you're telling me you want to go back out, you want to march yourself back out there onto a dangerous football field when we've already gotten to a place where we're already settling literally into our comfort of our home, and our life, to where we can spend this focused times together, and you want to go back to what you were doing previously? If I'm Giselle in that situation, hell yeah, I got an issue with that. Hell yeah, I'm reassessing this whole marriage to you, because it's going to make me question what degree of necessity have you been viewing me at? What am I really here for? And she might actually be feeling rejected, honestly, because you want to go back to this game. You don't want to be home with me again. You don't want to rest in a literal comfortable position. This is a problem. So Again, it's very plain to see, why they are heading for a splits bill as well as others. You got your various reasons why, and that's a strong one. That's a pretty compelling reason. You know, like I guess it's not as useful to be your wife as I had the impression it would. So throwing up deuces, rolling out. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on their marriage wrapping up? Giselle and Tom Brady, the model Giselle and NFL player Tom Brady. What do you think about that? Do you think that Tom Brady might come back to his senses and say, okay, you know what? I've thought it through some more, and this was very selfish of me, and I'm sorry. And I do want us to remain together. Do you think that just might happen at some point before their process, you know, goes to the next step? What do you think? Put your opinion in the chat. Let me know. Make it a comment. Let me know what you think about that. And I'm going to pause for a moment here. All right, I had to take a brief personal pause there. So, yeah. So, yeah, what do you guys think about all this divorce news? You know, what are your thoughts on the reasons behind some of these relationships crumbling? I try not to think too emotionally when it comes to this type of news because it's like they say, like all good things come to an end, nothing lasts forever, you know, nothing lasts forever. So it's not often that it's a huge surprise to me when I hear such news. I think the biggest aspect about divorce news that can be a surprise is dependent upon who who what marriage, who the married parties are that the news of divorce comes up about. So that's my general thought on all of these relationships that are going to be, you know, breaking ties. But it happens. It happens all the time. And, in this day, it's more often, more common rather than not that married couples are going to get divorced rather than stay together for a prolonged period of time. So, again, share your thoughts about any of them, about Tom Brady and Giselle, about Cynthia Bailey and Mike Hill, and your thoughts about supposed Monique and Chris Samuels. News about all of them getting divorced, having divorces coming up. So we'll see. We'll see how all that goes. So now I want to go on to talk about these series finales, right? And also homecoming weekend. I don't have a whole lot to say in regards to homecoming weekend. I'm in Washington, D.C. So as far as around here, you have, what is it? The college in Baltimore. Gosh, I think it's Morehouse. Look, for anybody who's listening, who knows, forgive me. And feel free to put it in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. Morehouse College in Baltimore, Maryland. I think I'm getting it wrong. So forgive me, but either way, it's homecoming season. Okay. So all across the nation for HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, it is homecoming season. So that has occurred here definitely over the past 2 weekends. And so more recently in Washington, D.C. for Howard University homecoming, right? So, yeah, you know how that goes. Outdoors, hanging out, you know, tailgating, football, step shows, all that good stuff. Alumni coming back to see familiar faces from when they were studying and pursuing their higher education. So, all of that has been happening here in the last few days. And so, that just, again, stems into what's the word? Commencement, right? Because, on the contrary, most people probably think that commencement means to conclude, but in actuality, it means to begin. Actually, like one of those words that has a dual meaning. It can mean the same thing as well as two opposites simultaneously. And I forget there is an actual definition for words like that. And I actually just recently saw it, but I can't remember what the definition of words like that is. So either way, commencement, homecoming, as well as the case being the same for network series. Okay, so depending on what you watch, which for me, it's still Power Universe because, hey, you're listening to Washington, D.C.'s number one self proclaimed biggest Power Universe fan, as well as the only female voice who big ups Power Universe, who reviews the Power spinoffs and has been ever since the inaugural series Power. All right. Featuring that character that everybody loved, even if it also meant that you loved to hate him, and that was James St. Patrick, better known as Ghost, right? So now the current status of Power Universe here is that book 3, Raising Kanan, season 2, just concluded. So that season finale was just a few days ago. And let me tell you something, like, to be honest, to be totally honest, for me, this book 3 is, definitely season 1 was not like something I was very eager and anticipated keeping up with, right? I more so was watching season 1 and treating it like a duty. And that's just being real about it. Okay. So, but now this second season that just ended, I mean, it did it on, I want to say, a fairly strong note. Fairly strong note. So, you definitely should have watched it by now. So, if you haven't seen it, treat this like a spoiler, even though in reality it's not, because I don't do spoilers. I don't believe in spoilers. But if you haven't seen it, again, this is a spoiler because I'm going to um, I'm going to assess how this finale panned out, and yeah, I don't think I can include predictions for the next season, but maybe just a few. So here we go. My assessment of Power, Book 3, Raising Canaan, Season 2, finale. So, um, we still had it. We got, as usual, as always, you got like various stories occurring. You got about 4 or 5 different stories happening simultaneously. But as it pertains to what Canaan's family, um, you got his mother, Rock, the drug queen pin, the family head, and then her 2 brothers, which are Canaan's nephews. Um, Listen, don't quote me on which one is which right now. I'll just have to refer to them as the one that has the daughter, and then I think the other one's name is Mo. I hope I'm getting that right because I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to that name. So yeah. So what was happening from the previous episode was Rock had ordered her brother with the daughter, who is Jukebox, Juke, which is Kanan's cousin. Rock had ordered her brother with, that's the father of Juke, to, um, take out this crackhead because it was strongly um, speculated that he was close to or else on the verge of putting in a lead to the police about the fact that Kanan tried to kill his father, which is a police officer. And it's Kanan's dad's police officer partner that's going through all these motions and investigating, trying to figure out who shot her partner, which is Kanan's dad. Now, Kanan's dad does know at this point, he's known for some time now, that Kanan is the one who tried to shoot him or tried to kill him. But he has decided that he's willing to put that aside because he wants to build a relationship with Kanan. Okay. Strange as it may seem, but that's what's happening. So, but his partner, on the other hand, for some reason, she has a mission. She's on a mission to find out who done it. And even though her partner has told her, leave it alone, don't worry about it, you're doing too much, she's proceeding to continue doing too much anyway. So she's just really painting herself into a corner with every episode. And so it has resulted in her questioning this crackhead, and his memory is coming back to him to a point where he, like I said, came close to telling on Kanan to her. And so the family found it out. Rock tells her brother, yeah, do him in, get rid of him. Don't need no sense, obviously, among other bigger fish. So he had done that, but he didn't follow instructions to a T. What he did was ended up giving the crackhead money, okay, and really giving him a chance to get the hell out of Dodge. Do you think the crackhead did that? I want you to think about that. We're talking about a crackhead, right? If you think the crackhead took that out with the money that was given to him and obviously his life being spared, if you think that the crackhead, took advantage of that in the comment section, I want you to type the letter Y, okay? If you believe that the crackhead, no. He couldn't have had enough sense to take advantage of that opportunity to have a prolonged life as much as possible, inclusive of just smoking. But if you don't think the crackhead was smart enough to get the hell out of Dodge with all this money that was just provided to him and not being shot, then in the comment section, I want you to type the letter. Again, if you don't think he was smart enough to do it, I want you to type the letter D for dumb. Okay? So type either Y for yes, you think he got out of Dodge, or either the letter D for no, he's dumb, he's on crack, he can't make smart decisions because he's on crack. And type the letter D. Right? So now, remember, this is the finale. So try to skim over, the key points. Either way, if you type the letter D, then you're right. Because, yeah, that crackhead was dumb enough to pretend like he was going to, okay, I'm going to do it. I ain't coming back and I'm going to really get my stuff together this time. You ain't got to convince the man with the gun by way of your words, dude. Actions speak louder. Just be ghost and get gone, right? So he didn't do that. He had gotten on a bus as he was instructed. But do you know, before the bus even left the city limits, this crackhead got back off the bus. He actually demanded that the driver stop the bus so that he could get off the bus. Okay, that's what he did. And then the next time we see him is on this episode where Kanan's uncle, Jukebox's father, tracks this joker down in a crack house and ends up, you know, helping him stop breathing. And rightfully so. I mean, come on. Again, even Kanan's uncle, he should have known himself better than to have given this crackhead a chance, right? We're talking about a substance abuser. And you really thought that putting some money in this guy's hand was gonna help him like literally change his life? Nah, dog. Not with people who are substance abusers, not with people who have addiction issues. It don't work like that. Money don't work like that. Anyway, so now the crackhead is done. That eliminates the risk of Kanan being told on by him. But a little bit later in the episode, Kanan's dad's police officer partner, and I can't remember her name, she approaches Kanan directly, right? She didn't already go down the line prior to this episode. She's already approached Raquel in the grocery store about this. She's already approached her partner, Kanan's dad, about this. I want to say at least twice, right? But now she's going for the gusto because now she is straight up approaching Kanan. And so she steps to him and she she definitely scooped him up off the street. And she lets him know, she wants to ask him questions. So she picks him up and she takes him to a different location where it's just the two of them, yet they're still out in public. Remember, Kane's a minor. So she does this so that she can question him and, hopefully get him to cop to what she believes is what actually occurred, which is that Kanan is the one who shot his dad, which is her police partner. So she takes him to a empty basketball court, and she's asking him 20 questions, and he's already, in denial mode really before she even gets started. And so she gets frustrated to the point where, she pushes him up against the fence and attempts to arrest him. And as she's attempting to handcuff him, he spins around and pushes her down on the ground. And so I'm immediately thinking, oh, wow, resisting arrest. And, possibly at least 2 other charges for pushing a police officer down. Okay. So, she's a small built woman, And so Kanan runs off and she's yelling after him, letting him know, like, I know where I can find you. You're not going to get away. That's very obvious. Very obvious. But either way, Kanan definitely resisted arrest, right? So now he ends up running to his father's house and letting him know what happened as far as the fact that he resisted arrest. And so his dad is questioning him about that situation. And so now let's see what else happened that's notable. Yeah, the key points here, like in summary, and I have to summarize this because, again, it was the finale. Again, a lot of twists and, changes in stories. But ultimately, next is that turning the focus on Raquel. So next what happened as far as Raquel, because she and Mo, at the conclusion of episode either 9 or 10, the last thing that happened on that episode was Raquel and Mo shooting I forget his name, but they shot the guy that plays on Queen Sugar. I can't even think of his real name right now, but heavy set dude, they shot him up in the elevator. All right, obviously that was intentional, that was planned out by Raquel. And it didn't hurt for Mo to help her out because the dude has started to get under Mo's skin as well, since he was starting to infiltrate and impede on Mo's creative control within the music studio, within the recording studio. And, he wanted to uh, throw his weight around. And so Mo was giving him the side eye, and, silent grimace and whatnot. So they did him in an elevator. And so now, stemming from that, Raquel and now her other brother, they're going to meet with somebody who was a rival, so to speak, of this guy that she just put down, right? Because the impression is they're about to start working together directly as far as the trafficking goes. And so when they sit down and meet with this guy, can't remember his character's name either, but he had previously played on the show Greenleaf, okay, as a villain. And so anyhow, they're sitting down, and he ends up telling Raquel and Mo, yeah, we're not gonna need y'all. I'm not gonna need y'all. Kind of like, thanks, but no thanks for the offer. And so she's like, Raquel is like immediately struck and confused. She's like, what you mean? What you talking about? So, he just very succinctly let her know, yeah, I mean, you would be a middleman, and I really don't need a middleman. And then that guy's partner also chimes in to let it be known, like, yeah, I mean, we able to work directly with, and he states the name of, another trafficker. And so Raquel, again, once more, even further now, she is like shocked and appalled, really. And, she's trying to quickly, rationalize to them, like, like, this really ain't a good move. Y'all played me, you played me, you know, and in so many words expressing that, that decision was not right, was not acceptable. So, he sets money on the table for her for the job that she and Mo pulled as far as taking out heavy set dude from Queen Sugar. But aside from that, he's like, again, thanks but no thanks. Paying you for what you did as far as taking him out. And again, she's just stuck on the fact, like, okay, but that I arranged that in order for us to work together, for this arrangement to come about, come to fruition. So, he's really backsliding on that with, his action during this meeting. So he sets money on the table, they stand up, and she let him know. She was like, yeah. She pretty much insulted him at the most. Let him know, like, yeah, I got more clout than you. I can still do more than you, kind of like, you don't compare to me. And so, he very, very, what's the word I want to use? He very humbly, wishes her well, wishes them well, and walks off. Very smooth, very respectful. So Raquel she is flaming, she's heated, right? So that's downfall number one in this episode for her. Downfall number two, it actually stems from that. So downfall number two is that when she goes to the person who really is who this guy, his partner, cut her out to be able to deal with directly. It's not a surprise, but it so happens that those parties are the woman that Raquel, went in and infiltrated on a shop that another woman and her husband had, running their under the radar trafficking operation through. And this woman's husband ended up, I think Raquel actually took him out, if I remember correctly. She did so on behalf of protecting the woman. But either way, now this same woman who Raquel protected, I mean, she set the woman up so that they could still continue to operate in their operation when it was she and her husband. Because the woman's husband was abusive towards her. And that's the reason why that's part of the reason why Raquel ended up taking him out. Okay, so now this woman is no longer under the thumb of her abusive husband. But subsequently, now this woman has literally made a seat at the table of trafficking for herself. Okay, and this is inclusive of, I believe it's her nephew or her cousin, some young man. So Raquel goes to see the young man, and the lady, who she previously saved, has like reinvented herself, and she's sitting there and she's all dressed up fancy. So Raquel approaches again. She's addressing the guy because really, he's the head of that operation, but the guy is, he's literally deflecting to his cousin, which is the woman, right? And he's indicating that he's letting her call the shots with the situation. So that woman said to Raquel, she just briefly explained to her, like, yeah, we don't, you're not needed. Things can be done without the inclusion of you. It would take excessive energy to work with you, and that's not something that needs to happen. So that's that. So here we go, seeing Raquel, silently flame up even more. Okay. And so now Raquel is giving her a warning. You know what I'm saying? And so, but she also, is trying to reel the guy back in and let him know this is not her move to make, And so the male cousin, he's like, yeah, I trust her business sense. And so Raquel let him know, you need not to be doing that. That's not how things are supposed to be going. You're the one who's supposed to be making decisions. In so many words, this is what she's indicating to him in response. And so again, girl sitting up here all just a fancy, she got this whole new uppity and in control air about her. And so Raquel ends up storming up out of there. And her brother had to tell her, like, yeah, like, let's go, let's go before, things get out of hand. Let's just go. And so they did that, but Raquel let her know. I think her name is Liliana. Raquel let her know. She said, yeah, you think you making moves now? So many words. She said this to her. You think you making moves now? But it ain't about, what you putting out. It's not about what you're throwing. It's about how you take it. So in other words, once the tables turn, that's going to be your true test as far as the decisions that you're making that really is not supposed to be in your hands, but you're taking them on anyway, as if you can handle all this. So they walk out. And so the younger male lets Liliana know. He's like, she's dangerous. He's kind of feeling intimidation. And so Liliana tells her cousin, well, so am I. Again, it's this new air though. She didn't make that statement convincingly as far as I'm concerned. So, but yeah, that's what she said. It was definitely for the scene. But yeah, that's what happened. And so the final, actually, no, it was actually 4 pitfalls for Raquel in this episode. So the third pitfall, though, was what happened? Oh yeah, so what happened? She gets to the new house that she just purchased, right? Because she kind of had to, jump through a couple of proverbial hoops in order to buy this house. She was getting pushed back from the realtor she was working with, and she didn't like that, with the presumptions that, she had to do this, do XYZ, that she possibly wouldn't be able to do, being presumed by the realtor in order to be able to buy the house. But she did all that. So now, with all this stuff happening, though, it's clearly evident that Raquel actually is not going to be able to afford this house, and or that it's going to be real difficult for her to pay for or recoup the money that she just bought, or excuse me, that she just spent to buy this house. Right? That's pretty doggone clear when you think about the grand scheme of things. She just bought this new house, and now her hopeful partnerships, for continuing the traffic, are falling apart. They're just crumbling right from between her fingers. And, there strongly appears to be nothing she can do about it. Right? So she goes to her new house. She sees the vase of flowers that the realtor had already presented to her, previously. And she opens up the card that's attached, and she's like so frustrated. She balls up the card. She throws the flower vase against the wall, breaks. So now here comes Mo. Here he comes in the house around the corner, lighting up a cigarette, noticing the broken glass on the floor. And yeah, it's like, so kind of like, what's going on? What's going on with you? What's the deal? Right? But Raquel already knows, from his I guess his tone, his approach, that he has a gripe. And she lets him know, I can't do this with you. I can't do this with you right now. Like, this is not the time. Because, she's had a really rough day, to say the least. Right? She's not trying to take on the task of arguing with her brother Mo as soon as he walks in the door of her new home, that she's already feeling the stress from, that she just spent all this money on it, and now her monetary lines, streaming, are proverbially dried up just in the course of a day, right? So she's like, I can't do this with you right now. Well, he proceeds to, share his thoughts around what his gripe is with her anyway. He's like, I just came from the bank, right? Now, he's referring to him going to the bank because of the fact that they had just taken out the dude who was trying to overstep his boundaries with the label, right? So he goes to the bank, to see what the business is, literally. And this is how he finds out that his sister Raquel is actually, by default, by legal default, is the owner now of his record label, where he presumed that he was going to be, because they took the dude out. This dude is gone now. So he was assuming it was going to be all to him, the way he always wanted it, which is the reason why he shot Primo, who was the original, creator of that record label and owner of that studio, right? Still, nobody knows that he's the one who killed Primo, that Mo's the one who did it. He's the only one that knows that. But again, this is why he was assuming he was really going to collect once he went to the bank. Well, he gets the unpleasant surprise information that, oh, no, you're not acquiring anything. It's your sister who is, right? So he walks out the bank disgusted when the banker tells Mo his sister's name is now the owner of this label. All right, so that's what he's referring to. And so he's telling her this, and look, she gave him this real straight and narrow speech to let him know, all right, so for some reason, you still misunderstanding that You think you're supposed to own something that you don't. And, you know, just to hopefully tell you one more time, you never will. Because everything that you do have is by way of me. And that's how it's going to continue to be. You want to threaten to leave. You was talking this, that, and the third. Like you was going to make some power moves. You didn't do it. You ain't going to do it because you can't do it. Right? Real heated speech, real heated explanation she's given to him. Uninterrupted at that, which was definitely warranted. I mean, he needed to hear it all, right? But she also informs him that, one of the first moves that they were supposed to have pulled together as far as taking somebody out, that was part of the organization. And he withdrew from doing it. So therefore she stepped in and did it. But Raquel let him know that that move right there had been a mistake, right? So she's like confessing this to him. And she's letting him know this, putting herself on Front Street as a means of showing him that, she's the one who holds the reins as far as, getting what needs to be done, right? But she again is confessing that one of those moves was definitely a mistake. She takes full accountability and full ownership of it by way of confessing and telling her brother Mo this. But this is all a means of letting him know that, dude, stop keeping hope alive because you're not going to have anything to yourself because you're lower on the totem pole, right? Now, she didn't say that verbatim, but again, this is the totality of what she wants him to understand. Okay, so she came up to him and held his face, telling him, she said, I gave you everything you got. And that's how it's always gonna be. Like, you can't get nothing without me. Like it or not, that's what it is. This is what it is. And so, he dipped after that. So he storms off. And so, yeah. Now, let me try to reel all the other characters back in because the totality, summarizing this finale is that, they already had static. Raquel, her brother, and her brothers already has this static with the Italians just based on the fact that, she decided she wanted to go up to the territory that they have control over and just start operating. And, she's not on the tip of, she hadn't been on the tip of seeking permission or, trying to, make an official presentation or, not that approach at all, not from Raquel. Right. So now that's coming to a head. That has come to a head. And so the head Italian guy, he just let that be known. And so, he went to his head guy, which is played by Tony Danza. Is there anybody else who remembers Tony Danza? Because I grew up seeing Tony Danza. All right. So that's who this Italian's head guy is. Tony Danza. He looks great, by the way. Aging very nicely, might I add. He really did look really great. Like, physique and all. So the character Tony Danza's playing tells him, like, kind of like let him know, like, yeah, I think I know what you came to tell me about. I'm already aware because she is just a reference to Raquel. She came to visit. She came to see me. So I think I know what you're talking about. So, saying, oh, really? He's kind of expressing, like, darn. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. Da, 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 da. So then Tony Danza lets him know. He's like, well, listen. He just was real cut to the chase with him, and Tony Danza informs him. Tony Danza's character informs the, his, predecessor, so to speak. He tells him, like, listen, I don't need to hear nothing else about this situation. I'm gonna just tell you, it's kind of almost like you got permission to do what you need to do what needs to be done, so that there is no more talk about this. You know, he just automatically wants his hands to be wiped clean of it without being worried about it or not hearing about it again. So that's pretty much what Tony Danza's character lets him know. Like, that, like, and on the tip of that's it, right? Think that's it, right? So oh. Oh my goodness, I don't know how much. Oh wow. Oh boy, I had this on mute. Okay, I'm gonna try to backtrack. Had a sound issue. I'm gonna try to backtrack. Tony Danza. Tony Danza. I'm backtrack from Tony Danza. Tony Danza lets his predecessor know, hey, yeah, black female came to see me already. I think I know that that's the reason why you're here. He's like, oh man, I was hoping that was gonna happen, but yeah, you're right. So Tony Danza's character lets him know, like, listen, do what needs to be done. I don't want to hear nothing else about this again. Kind of like tie up these loose ends you got. I don't want to hear nothing about it going forward. Like, on my hands clean of it, right? So this person is like, all right, thanks. So he rolls out. So now this proceeds into, now we see him like posted up in a pool hall. He lights up a cigar. He walks over to the jukebox, starts playing it, and then um, we see a series of places that Raquel's operation is set up at being infiltrated by the Italians, right? Um, and so some of the innocent bystanders that were taken out or injured by way of this includes Raquel's kind of like arch rival, but even though they're semi working together now, but that guy's right hand man, he got shot and taken down. And then Raquel's brother, that is his father, the jukebox, he got shot, so he got injured. So he's in hiding because he's injured, and it's he took a serious hit. And then now connect that back to Mo. So, like I said, Raquel and Mo, they just had this heated exchange at her new house, and so now we see Mo he goes into the studio, and so his artist slash girlfriend is already there, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I want to record something," and so he's like heated, right? And then he's just letting her know, like, he's done, he's over it, and he's telling her, "Yeah, I'm not doing this no more." And he's collecting records, putting them in the crate, like he's just grabbing all kinds of things. Like, I'm done with this, not doing this anymore. Not up in here. I'm over it, and she's confused. So he's just moving in a frenzy, and so next thing you know, he turns around. This gunman coming up in here, so he shouts for her to get down. She's so preoccupied with his anger that she cannot react fast enough to get down, and she gets shot up. Okay, he's able to shield himself and get down, and he made a successful distraction that enabled him to be able to take out those Italians that came for him. But they took out the girl, they took out his girlfriend. Okay, so she's done. And so next is this rounds back over to Raquel. So Raquel is back at her old house now. And granted, Kanan ain't around because the last place that we see him was at his dad's house, explaining why he evaded being arrested. Okay. But anyway, Raquel's back at her old house, and somebody comes knocking at the door. Well, she goes in the kitchen, gets a piece because she's not expecting nobody. That's how it appears. She goes to the door, and who's at the door but Kenya, played by Latoya Luckett. Kenya is Jukebox's mother, right? And it's kind of surprising to me because honestly, I knew that her character wasn't going to last much longer on the series, but I was kind of surprised that they drew her character out to be on the finale. Either way, it's Kenya at the door. So Raquel, she looks, she sees who it is, she opens the door, and Kenya's just randomly showing up there. I want to talk to you. I know it's probably, out of line. She trying to gauge whether or not her presence is disrespectful. Well, shit. I mean, it ain't that, but all of y'all in danger don't even know. So now Raquel immediately recognizes, like, it's weird that you're even on my doorstep. And she asked her, she's like, my guys just let you come up, just let you walk up. So now she's taking a closer look outside. She sees that her guys are sitting in the car slumped over. So they have been taken out. And next thing you know, it's Italians literally walking up with guns. Okay. And so they start shooting. Same thing, like a repeat situation of Mo and his girlfriend slash artist in the studio, where Raquel is telling Kenya, get down before the shooting begins. But do you think that Kenya was successful with heeding that warning? What you think? What you think? Tell me what you think in the chat. Did Kenya make it? Did she survive? Did she bypass being shot at with Raquel? What do you think? Type it in the comments. Let me know. Put it in the chat. Did Jukebox's mom evade the gunfire? So, yeah, so now, like I said, Raquel's telling her, like, get down. She can barely get down herself. And so, what we see is, remember, they're standing on some steps. There's steps in front of Raquel's door front. And they're at the height, at the top of those steps, right? And the next scene is basically, yeah, Kenya didn't make it. She didn't make it because they show Kenya proceeding to walk up the steps in a rush. And so of course she got shot up because you're already at an elevated height. So she really didn't have a chance. Okay, just based on the situation of being on Raquel's front steps. Right. So, and she falls at the doorstep right inside of the house. Okay. So Raquel's able to back up. She gets a couple of shots off before she backs up, and then, but she's been hit as well. She got hit in the shoulder. So I think she ends up falling on the floor because no, she's still standing there first, but now, these Italians are continuing to come, they're entering the house now, and she was able to shoot one or two prior to falling on the floor. And like I said, she has this left shoulder bullet wound. She's sitting on the floor. Now a third guy comes up that she had not been able to shoot. And, apparently Raquel's gun had run out of bullets. So she's just sitting on the floor. And so this last Italian slowly walking up to her with his gun drawn, right at her. And, he's just kind of like taking in the moment. He's savoring the situation. And, he says to her, you should just stay where you belong. And she's just got this, eyes just wide open, appearing to have no fear. And she told him, do what you came to do. Like, So next thing you know, they show a close-up of his face, but then we hear a gunshot and we see him fall over. And so who do you think shot him? Not Raquel, but now this guy, this is his real name. He's an artist. His artist name, not his character's name, but his artist name is Joey Badass. Okay. And this is something I recently found out. Because aside from this show, I never would have known what nor who this guy is. But apparently, Joey Badass, a rapper. Okay. So his character took out this dude and prevented this third Italian from taking out Raquel. Okay. Now, he had flirted with her at the beginning of this episode. And it was his first time putting out like a serious feeler to Raquel, because he has said some flirtatious things to her at the beginning of this season. But this episode was his first time doubling back ever since their rift had, kind of subsided a bit. And, they found themselves, more so in positions to, like, either we really going to be enemies or else we're going to create a degree of bonding together and working together, right? So either way, he's the one who, you know, virtually saved Raquel's life. So he walks in there, Raquel's eyes still wide open, still sitting on the floor. So he extends his hand to her to, help her up. And she takes his hand and she gets up. So now who we see pulling up outside but Kanan and his dad. And now we see Raquel and Joey, the character Joey Badass. Excuse me, real Joey Badass, the character played by him, and Raquel, coming out the house, and the front of the house is riddled with bullet holes. And obviously his body's all outside, on the sidewalk. The bodies of her guys still in the car. And so that's how the conclusion of the finale panned out. Okay, so her brothers, Raquel's brothers, Kanan's uncles, they're still alive. Jukebox is still alive. She was never really in harm's way as far as her nor Kanan were never in any harm's way on this episode as far as, shooting goes. Who else do we still have? Kanan's goofy and ignorant and now killer friend, what is his name? Fabulous? I know, what is his name? I forget his friend's character's name. Whatever the boy name is. He's still alive. The guy who turned on Raquel that she thought she was about to, partner up with and be in business with, he's still alive. But she already, we know that she semi-threatened him. But we also know that she definitely threatened Liliana because she is newly perched, sitting on a high horse that I think I can agree she has no business being on. But Raquel let her know that. So, these are two people that Raquel and her family, that are on their family's radar as far as, I think now this is becoming a prediction for how season 3 is going to start for this spinoff. Okay. And that is that between Liliana and the guy that turned on Raquel, it's going to be between Raquel and or members of her family, which I think this decision will still ultimately lie with Raquel because, she's still the boss. But it's going to come down to her deciding which one of those two she wants to reattempt being a partner with, or else seeking to take out both of them. Okay. So it's going to be one of the two will become a partner, or else both of them will be targets on her radar to take out. Because of both of them, like I said, her literal trafficking stream is not flowing anymore. Right? They were in a position of being like the head supplier, but that has been eliminated by way of the both of them because now they're working directly with each other. And like I said, they've cut her out and they've let her know that they cut her out. So it's a blatant thing. So again, she got some picking and choosing to do. Raquel does. And that's going to be the premise of next season. And I'll just I'll leave and keep the focus on that as far as on Raquel's character and not try to estimate or predict anything for any other characters because one of her brothers is injured. Her other brother came pretty close to getting taken out, even though he's not injured, but he saw his girl get taken out and she was kind of his last hope as far as even trying to restart on his own went as far as the music and recording, but she's done. So he's by his lonesome, like all over. If not for the first time now, Mo's on his lonesome totally, and I'm sure he's going to take on a position of ostracizing himself from probably the rest of his family just because he's so mad at Raquel. But again, that remains to be seen. And as far as the kids, as far as Kane and Jukebox, again, I can't really call that too deep. But I feel compelled to try to say something about it. So I will estimate this. I will estimate, keep this in mind. We all have to keep this part in mind for when season 3 of Raising Kanan starts. Keep what I'm about to say in mind. All right. So I think that when it comes to the kids, that between both Kanan and Jukebox, it's going to be a situation where the two of them are gonna like plot and plan taking out Kanan's dad's police officer partner. Just because she keeps poking around, because she had also questioned Jukebox again on this episode as well, which Jukebox didn't have anything to say. She was pretty elusive, but she was indirectly indicative of a couple things. But also, remember, she tried to arrest Kanan. So she coming after the kids now. Now, if and when Raquel finds out about this, which is probably going to be the very first thing that happens, because the conclusion of the episode was Kanan and his dad coming to her house, right? So they're both going to have the question to each other, what just happened. And I'm sure she has a question for the two of them, Kanan and his dad. What are y'all doing together? Right? So this is going to, bring about an automatic, necessary exchange of answers explaining both. But that being said, again, I think that if it's not between Kanan and Jukebox plotting for taking out that police officer on their own, that is definitely going to be inclusive of Raquel seeking to have it done. Okay, now Kanan's dad, I don't think he's going to try to play a part in it. He's going to be in a forced position to where he's aware that it's in the works, but I don't think he's going to seek to, actively participate, because again, this is his partner and they're both police officers. Even though he doesn't like what she's doing, like realistically, how would it be for himself to plan to take her out? I mean, he could do it because, ease of access, but again, in actuality, in this story, I don't think he's going to try to do that, because there's plenty of other people who are better off at seeking to do it, who could, go off with a clean slate, so to speak, as far as not getting caught, versus him trying to do it and having heavy speculation over his head. So all that being said, that's my prediction. That's my summary of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. That's my summary of that, assessment of that finale episode, as well as my initial prediction for season 3 of it. Sorry, did I say season 3 already? I'm going to say season 2. That's my assessment of how season 2 just concluded, and my prediction for how season 3 is going to kick off for Raising Kanan. Okay, that's part of the Power universe. That's the story about 50 Cent's character, Kanan Stark. All right, and how things started for his character in Power universe. So, yeah, like I said, it sprinkled a little bit of pepper in it on this finale. So it does actually, give me a little bit of checking for how the third installment of this spinoff is going to go. And now, just to wrap all this up for tonight, for episode 22, I need to go back to the divorcee topic. The uh, speculated upcoming divorces, right? Because listen, back to Monique and Chris Samuels, right? And her claiming, oh, we're still married. Listen, again, they just finished Love and Marriage DC, and supposedly there's a second season on tap for that show, right? Despite how weak it was first, season one, it's gonna have a second round, right? But I'm looking at it like this. And again, everything I'm sharing here is my opinion for entertainment purposes. But I'm looking at it like this as far as their situation goes. Because remember, they're on reality TV. So if Monique and her husband, because it's being made for it to be a question on if they're actually getting divorced or not, it's really giving it's very strongly giving RHOA season 5 episode 9, and that's when Phaedra and her husband Apollo, when word had started going around that the two of them were on the downfall in their marriage. Okay, because they had rumors precede that happening to them, and then next thing you knew, it actually did happen. So that's what the situation with Chris Samuels and Monique Samuels is giving here right about now. So definitely wanted to add that comparable factor to assessing these celebrity and entertainment divorces. So all that being said, I am your golden dark Dane. Remember to subscribe, like this video, like it once you hear it, okay? Once you check out the subject matter, okay? Remember, I'm DC's #1 self-proclaimed Power Universe fan and the only female self-proclaimed Power Universe fan. #1 Power Universe fan, okay? So check that out. So make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you like this video. And make sure you post your comments. If you have any questions, post those as well. I will go over them. All right. So I will check for you on the next one. It's your golden dark Dane. Oh yeah. And also follow me on Instagram, IG. All right. See you on the next one.